Every morning you wake up, you make a choice that will either elevate you or diminish you. There is no neutral ground in the pursuit of excellence. Right now, in this very moment, you are either moving toward the person you want to become or drifting away from that vision. The question is not whether you have the capacity for greatness, you do. The question is whether you will choose to activate that capacity today. Who here has ever blamed their circumstances for where they are in life? Raise your hand if you've ever said the words, "I don't have time," or "I don't have the resources," or "I wasn't given the same opportunities." Keep those hands up. Now look around. You're looking at people who have bought into the greatest lie ever told, that external conditions determine internal results. Let me tell you about Sarah. 3 years ago, she was a single mother, working 2 jobs, barely making ends meet. She had every excuse in the book. No education beyond high school, no connections, no savings, no support system. By every measure society uses to predict success, Sarah was destined for struggle. But Sarah made one decision that changed everything. She decided to stop being a victim of her circumstances and start being the architect of her future. What did Sarah do? She got up 1 hour earlier every day and spent that hour learning skills that would advance her career. That's it. 1 hour, 60 minutes out of 24. While others slept, she studied. While others complained about their situations, she improved her capabilities. Within 18 months, she had earned 3 professional certifications. Within 2 years, she had landed a position that doubled her income. Today she owns her own consulting firm. The difference between Sarah and the people still making excuses isn't talent. It isn't luck. It isn't connections. The difference is that Sarah understood a fundamental truth that most people never grasp. Your life is not happening to you, it's responding to you. When you truly accept that you are the primary creative force in your own life, everything changes. The farmer who plants corn doesn't stand in his field, cursing the weather when storms come. He doesn't blame the soil when weeds grow. He understands that farming operates according to natural laws, and success comes from working with those laws, not fighting against them. The same natural laws that govern farming govern your personal development. You reap what you sow. You harvest in proportion to what you plant. The quality of your crop depends on the quality of your preparation, your attention, and your consistency. No farmer expects to plant seeds on Monday and harvest crops on Tuesday. Yet many people expect to make minimal effort and receive maximum results. This is where most people fail. They want the harvest without the planting. They want the strength without the training. They want the knowledge without the studying. They want the relationship without the commitment. They want the business success without the daily disciplines. They want the compound interest without making the initial investments. But success doesn't work that way. Success operates on the principle of compound effect. When you read 10 pages of a valuable book each day, it seems insignificant. 10 pages is nothing. You could read 10 pages in 15 minutes, but at the end of the year, you've read 18 books. At the end of 5 years, you've read 90 books. Show me someone who has read 90 books on personal development, business strategy, or any field of knowledge, and I'll show you someone who has separated themselves from 99% of the population in that area. When you exercise for 20 minutes each day, it feels almost pointless. 20 minutes barely gets you warmed up, but after 6 months of consistent 20-minute sessions, your energy levels have transformed, your confidence has increased, your mental clarity has improved, your physical capabilities have expanded. The person who exercises 20 minutes daily for 5 years becomes virtually unrecognizable compared to who they were when they started. The same principle applies to every area of your life. Save $5 a day, and it seems meaningless. But $5 daily becomes $1,825 annually. Invested properly over 20 years, that becomes a substantial sum. Learn 1 new skill each month, and by year's end you've added 12 capabilities to your arsenal. Spend 15 minutes daily expressing gratitude to the important people in your life, and watch how your relationships deepen and strengthen. The power lies not in the individual action, but in the consistency of the action repeated over time. This is why most people fail to achieve what they want. They focus on the size of the action rather than the consistency of the action. They try to make massive changes overnight instead of making small changes daily. Your life operates according to predictable patterns. These patterns repeat in cycles, and understanding these cycles gives you tremendous power. There are seasons in your life just as there are seasons in nature. There are times of planting, times of growing, times of harvesting, and times of rest and preparation. The person who understands these natural rhythms and works with them instead of against them gains an enormous advantage. During the planting season, you prepare and sow seeds. You invest in your education, your skills, your relationships, and your future. This is often uncomfortable because you're putting in effort without seeing immediate results. Most people quit during this phase because they don't see rapid progress. They don't understand that this is the foundation phase, and the quality of their foundation determines the height of everything they build on top of it. During the growing season, you tend and nurture what you've planted. You maintain consistency. You make small daily improvements. You protect your investments from the weeds of distraction and the storms of discouragement. This phase requires patience and persistence because growth is often invisible until it suddenly becomes obvious. During the harvest season, you reap the rewards of your previous efforts. This is when opportunities appear. This is when your investments pay dividends. This is when your skills open doors. This is when your relationships provide support and connections. But here's what most people don't understand. The harvest season is also preparation time for the next planting season. During the rest and preparation season, you reflect on what worked and what didn't. You plan your next cycle. You sharpen your tools. You gather resources. You rest and rejuvenate, so you'll have the energy for the next round of planting and growing. The person who understands these cycles never panics during difficult times because they know that challenges are temporary. They also never become complacent during good times because they know that seasons change. They use each season for its intended purpose, and they prepare for the next season while experiencing the current one. This understanding gives you the ability to handle whatever life presents. When problems arise, and they will arise, you don't waste energy asking, "Why me?" Instead, you ask, "What can I learn from this, and how can I use this to become stronger?" When opportunities appear, and they will appear, you're prepared to act because you've been building your capabilities during the seasons of preparation. Most people experience the same cycles, but they don't recognize them as natural patterns. Instead, they react emotionally to each change. When times are good, they become overconfident and stop doing the things that created the good times. When times are difficult, they become discouraged and abandon the very actions that would carry them through to better times. The person who forces themselves to be the best day after day understands that external circumstances are temporary, but the person you become through responding to those circumstances is permanent. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to develop strength, wisdom, and character. Every opportunity you encounter is a chance to demonstrate what you've learned and built during your preparation phases. This is why your daily choices matter so much. Each day, you're either building the foundation for future success or undermining that foundation. Each day, you're either developing the habits that will serve you or reinforcing the patterns that will limit you. Each day, you're either becoming more of who you want to be or remaining stuck as who you've always been. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your daily decisions, not your yearly decisions, not your monthly decisions, your daily decisions. What you choose to do today will compound into what you become tomorrow. What you choose to think today will shape how you respond to tomorrow's opportunities and challenges. This is both sobering and exciting. It's sobering because it means you can't blame yesterday's choices on anyone else. But it's exciting because it means tomorrow's results are entirely within your control. Starting right now, you can begin making the choices that will create the life you want. But here's what you must understand. Making better choices isn't enough. You must also stop making the choices that sabotage your progress. You must eliminate the patterns of thinking and acting that keep you stuck. You must identify and destroy the internal enemies that prevent you from becoming your best self. The enemy of your best life isn't your circumstances. It isn't your background. It isn't the economy, your boss, or your family situation. The enemy of your best life is the in your head that whispers justifications for why you can't, why you shouldn't, and why you don't need to do what you know you should do. How many of you have heard that this week? How many of you have listened to it and let it convince you to postpone, to compromise, to settle for less than your capabilities? That has a name. It's called rationalization, and it's the most dangerous force working against your success. This speaks in 3 distinct languages, and you must learn to recognize each one if you want to silence them. The first language is excuse-making. The second is procrastination. The third is blame-shifting. These 3 destroyers work together to keep you exactly where you are, ensuring that 5 years from now, you'll be having the same conversations about the same unfulfilled dreams. Excuse-making kills potential before it's even born. It convinces you that your circumstances are special, that your situation is different, that the principles that work for everyone else somehow don't apply to you. The excuse maker always has a reason why they can't start, can't continue, or can't succeed. Listen to the language of excuse making. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. I don't have the right connections. I'm too old. I'm too young. I don't have the education. I don't have the experience.
I'll start when things settle down. I'll begin when I have more support. I'll try when the timing is better. Every one of these statements may contain elements of truth, but they're not facts. They're choices. They're choices to focus on what you don't have instead of using what you do have. They're choices to wait for perfect conditions instead of starting with current conditions. Marcus wanted to start his own business for 7 years. 7 years. First, he didn't have enough savings. Then he didn't have enough experience. Then the market wasn't right. Then he was too busy with his current job. Then his kids were too young. Then his mortgage was too high. 7 years of perfect excuses. Meanwhile, his former college roommate started 3 different businesses during those same 7 years. 2 failed. 1 succeeded beyond his wildest expectations. The difference wasn't talent, education, or resources. The difference was that while Marcus was perfecting his excuses, his roommate was accepting imperfect conditions and taking imperfect action. The second destroyer, procrastination, is excuse-making's cunning partner. Where excuse-making says I can't, procrastination says I will, but not right now. Procrastination is the thief that steals tomorrow's opportunities today. It convinces you that delay is preparation, when it's actually deterioration. Procrastination speaks a language of false promises. I'll start Monday. I'll begin after the holidays. I'll do it when I finish this other project. I'll get serious about it next month. I'll
make time for it when things slow down. These statements feel responsible and reasonable, but they're poison disguised as planning. The procrastinator always believes there will be a better time, a more convenient moment, a less complicated season. They don't understand that there is never a perfect time for anything important. There's only the time you have right now, and the decision to use it or waste it. Jennifer wanted to write a book for 12 years, 12 years of some days and when I have more time. She attended writing workshops. She bought writing software. She created detailed outlines. She did everything except write. She was always preparing to prepare to get ready to start. One Tuesday morning, Jennifer's neighbor mentioned that she had just published her third novel. While Jennifer was preparing for 12 years, her neighbor had written and published 3 complete books. That Tuesday became Jennifer's turning point. She stopped preparing and started writing. Her book was published 18 months later. The third destroyer, blame shifting, is the most insidious because it feels justified. Blame shifting points fingers at everyone and everything except the person responsible for your results, you. It keeps you powerless by convincing you that other people control your destiny. The blame shifter's vocabulary is predictable. My boss doesn't appreciate me. My industry is too competitive. My family doesn't support my dreams. The government regulations make it impossible. My customers don't understand quality. My employees aren't committed. My spouse isn't encouraging. The system is rigged against people like me. All of these external factors may create challenges, but they don't create your response to those challenges. Your response is entirely within your control, and your response determines your results. David worked for a company where his boss was genuinely difficult, demanding, critical, and often unreasonable. David had 2 choices. He could focus on how unfair his boss was, or he could focus on how to excel despite his boss's behavior. David chose the second option. He documented everything. He over-communicated. He delivered results ahead of deadlines. He became so valuable that when his boss was eventually replaced, David was promoted to fill the position. David's colleague, Robert, faced the same difficult boss. Robert chose to focus on how unfair the situation was. He complained to his co-workers. He resented the demands. He did the minimum required work. When the boss was replaced, Robert was passed over for promotion and eventually let go during a reorganization. Same boss, same circumstances. 2 completely different outcomes because of 2 completely different responses. This is the great divide that separates those who achieve from those who merely survive. Success-minded people and mediocrity-minded people experience the same events, but they process those events through entirely different mental frameworks. When success-minded people encounter obstacles, they ask, what can I learn from this? How can I improve? What's my next move? How can I turn this challenge into an advantage? What opportunities might be hidden in this difficulty? When mediocrity-minded people encounter the same obstacles, they ask, why does this always happen to me? Who's responsible for fixing this? Why isn't someone helping me? When will things get easier? Why do I have to deal with this? Notice the difference. Success-minded questions focus on personal power and possibility. Mediocrity-minded questions focus on external responsibility and problems. The questions you ask determine the answers you find. The answers you find determine the actions you take. The actions you take determine the results you get. Two salespeople work for the same company, selling the same product in the same market. The first salesperson gets rejected by a potential customer and thinks, what could I have done differently? How can I improve my presentation? What does this tell me about this customer's real needs? Who else might I approach with a better strategy? The second salesperson gets rejected by the same type of customer and thinks, this company's prices are too high. Customers don't understand quality anymore. The marketing department isn't giving us good leads. The economy is making everyone cheap. Our competition is cutting corners we can't match. Both salespeople experienced rejection. One used it as information for improvement. The other used it as evidence for limitation. At the end of the year, guess which one exceeded their sales targets and which one was complaining about their commission check? The elimination of these three destroyers requires a systematic approach. First, you must develop awareness. You cannot change what you do not acknowledge. Start catching yourself in the act of making excuses, procrastinating, or shifting blame. The moment you hear that internal beginning its familiar song, interrupt it. The interruption technique is simple but powerful. The instant you recognize a destructive thought pattern, count backwards from 5 to 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This breaks the mental momentum and creates space for a different choice. After the interruption, immediately replace the destructive thought with a constructive one. Instead of I don't have time, ask, how can I make time? Instead of I'll start Monday, ask what can I do right now? Instead of they should fix this, ask what can I control in this situation? Create environments that support your success and eliminate environments that trigger your destructive patterns. If you procrastinate when you work from home, find a different workspace. If you make excuses when you're around certain people, limit your exposure to those people. If you blame external circumstances when you watch the news constantly, reduce your news consumption. Build accountability systems that make it harder to fall back into old patterns. Tell someone about your commitments and ask them to check on your progress. Create consequences for breaking your own agreements. Reward yourself for following through on your intentions. Track your progress daily. What gets measured gets managed. Keep a simple record of when you catch yourself making excuses, procrastinating, or shifting blame. Also track when you choose constructive responses instead. You'll be amazed how quickly awareness leads to improvement. The person who eliminates these three destroyers creates space for the habits that build excellence. When you stop making excuses, you start making progress. When you stop procrastinating, you start producing. When you stop shifting blame, you start taking control. But elimination alone isn't enough. You must replace the destructive patterns with constructive ones. You must fill the space you've created with daily disciplines that move you toward your goals instead of away from them. The foundation is built, the enemies are identified and defeated. Now it's time to construct the daily practices that will transform your potential into reality. Excellence is not an accident. Excellence is the result of deliberate daily decisions repeated so consistently that they become automatic. The difference between ordinary people and extraordinary people isn't talent, luck, or circumstances. The difference is what they choose to do with the 1,440 minutes they receive each day. Right now, someone is using their 1,440 minutes to build something remarkable. While you listen to these words, someone is studying to master a skill that will change their career. Someone is exercising to build the energy and discipline that will fuel their ambitions. Someone is reading to expand their knowledge beyond their current limitations. Someone is planning their next move while others are scrolling mindlessly through entertainment. What are you doing with your 1,440 minutes? More importantly, what will you do with tomorrow's 1,440 minutes? Because here's what most people don't understand. Tomorrow's success is created by today's choices. Next year's breakthrough is built from this year's daily habits. The life you want 5 years from now is constructed one day at a time, starting with today. The compound effect doesn't work in theory. It works in practice. It works when you show up consistently, especially when you don't feel like it. It works when you do the small things that seem insignificant, until they create results that seem impossible. Michael decided to read one chapter of business books each morning before work. One chapter, 15 minutes. His co-workers thought it was a waste of time. You're already successful enough, they said. You should relax and enjoy your mornings. But Michael understood something his co-workers didn't. He understood that the gap between where he was and where he wanted to be would only close through deliberate daily improvement. After 6 months, Michael had read 12 business books. After 1 year, 24 books. After 2 years, 48 books. The knowledge he gained from those books led to innovations in his department. The innovations led to recognition from senior management. The recognition led to a promotion and a 50% salary increase. His co-workers were still relaxing in their mornings and wondering why Michael kept advancing while they stayed in the same positions. 1 chapter, 15 minutes, 2 years, life transformation. This is the power of designing your days instead of drifting through them. Most people let their days happen to them. They react to whatever demands attention. They respond to whoever speaks loudest. They allow circumstances to dictate their schedules. Then they wonder why their lives feel out of control and their goals remain unreached. The person who forces themselves to be the best day after day takes control of their mornings. The morning hours are yours. Before the world wakes up with its demands, its emergencies, its distractions, you have a window of pure opportunity. What you do with this window determines the trajectory of your entire day. Your morning routine is your daily declaration of who you're becoming. It's your daily investment in the person you want to be. It's your daily choice between drift and design, between reaction and creation, between the person you were yesterday and the person you could become today. The most successful people in every field have morning routines that include 4 essential elements: physical preparation, mental preparation, emotional preparation, and spiritual preparation. Each element serves a specific purpose in building the foundation for an extraordinary day. Physical preparation builds your energy and your discipline simultaneously. When you move your body first thing in the morning, you're telling yourself that you're someone who takes action. You're creating momentum that carries through the rest of your day. You're building physical stamina that supports mental stamina. You're developing the habit of doing what you said you would do, even when it's uncomfortable. This doesn't require a gym membership or elaborate equipment. 30 minutes of movement, push-ups, sit-ups, stretching, walking, or any physical activity that elevates your heart rate and awakens your body. The specific activity matters less than the consistency of the activity. The goal is not to become an athlete overnight. The goal is to become someone who honors their commitments to themselves. Mental preparation expands your knowledge and your perspective. 20 minutes of reading material that challenges your thinking, teaches you new skills, or exposes you to ideas beyond your current experience. Books, articles, or educational content that moves you closer to your goals and further from your limitations. The person who reads 20 minutes each morning consumes roughly 100 books per year. 100 books per year creates expertise in any field within 3 years. 100 books per year separates you from 99% of the population in terms of knowledge and insight. 100 books per year provides ideas, strategies, and solutions that transform ordinary thinking into extraordinary results. Emotional preparation processes your experiences and clarifies your intentions. 10 minutes of reflection on the previous day's lessons and the current day's priorities. What worked well yesterday? What could have been better? What did you learn about yourself, others, or your situation? What are your 3 most important objectives for today? How do you want to show up in your interactions with others? This reflection time prevents you from repeating yesterday's mistakes and helps you build on yesterday's successes. It also ensures that your day has direction rather than just activity. Many people stay busy without being productive. They confuse motion with progress. Reflection time helps you distinguish between the two. Spiritual preparation centers your mind and connects you to something larger than your immediate concerns. 15 minutes of meditation, prayer, gratitude practice, or quiet contemplation. This isn't about religion. This is about creating mental stillness in a world of constant noise. This is about remembering what truly matters before you get caught up in what seems urgent. During this time, you might reflect on what you're grateful for, consider how you can serve others, or simply sit in silence and allow your mind to settle. The specific practice matters less than the consistent practice. The goal is to begin your day from a place of peace and purpose, rather than anxiety and reaction. These 4 elements, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual preparation, create a foundation that makes everything else in your day more effective. When your body is energized, your mind is sharp, your emotions are balanced, and your spirit is centered, you're equipped to handle whatever challenges and opportunities your day presents. But here's what you must understand. Starting these practices is easy. Maintaining them is where most people fail. The first week feels exciting. The second week feels routine. The third week feels optional. The fourth week becomes a test of your character. This is where the choice you made at the beginning of this conversation becomes critical. Remember, you decided to listen to this message because some part of you wants something more than what you currently have. Some part of you knows you're capable of better results, better relationships, better contributions to the world. That part of you must become stronger than the part that wants to stay comfortable. When your alarm goes off tomorrow morning, you'll have a choice. You can hit the snooze button and remain who you've always been, or you can get up and begin becoming who you want to be. When you don't feel like exercising, you can skip it and prove to yourself that your commitments are optional, or you can do it anyway and prove to yourself that you're someone who keeps their word. The person you become is determined by the choices you make when you don't feel like making them. Anyone can exercise when they're motivated. Anyone can read when they're inspired. Anyone can reflect when they're calm. Anyone can meditate when they're peaceful. The person who forces themselves to be the best day after day does these things especially when they don't feel like it. Start with one area. Pick the most important aspect of your life that needs improvement. Is it your health, your career, your relationships, your finances, your personal growth? Choose one area and commit to one daily action that will move you forward in that area. Make the action specific and measurable. Instead of "I'll exercise more," commit to "I'll walk for 30 minutes every morning at 6 a.m. Instead of "I'll read more," commit to "I'll read one chapter of a business book every evening at 8 p.m. Instead of "I'll be more organized," commit to "I'll plan tomorrow's priorities every night before bed." Remove the barriers that could prevent consistency. If you're going to exercise in the morning, lay out your clothes the night before. If you're going to read in the evening, put the book where you'll see it. If you're going to plan each night, set a reminder on your phone. Make it easier to follow through than to make excuses. Create accountability that ensures you'll follow through. Tell someone about your commitment and ask them to check on your progress weekly. Better yet, find someone who will commit to the same practice and check on each other daily. Create consequences for breaking your commitment and rewards for maintaining it. Track your progress visually. Mark an X on a calendar for each day you complete your chosen action. The visual representation of your consistency becomes a powerful motivator to maintain your streak. You'll be amazed how much you hate breaking a chain of X's once you've built momentum. When obstacles arise, and they will arise, don't abandon your practice, adapt it. If you can't do 30 minutes, do 15. If you can't read a full chapter, read a few pages. If you can't complete your full routine, do a shortened version. The goal is consistency, not perfection. It's better to do something small every day than something large occasionally. The person who commits to one small daily discipline and maintains it for 90 days will transform their confidence, their capabilities, and their results. The person who maintains it for 1 year will transform their life. The person who maintains it for 5 years will become unrecognizable compared to who they were when they started. But it all begins with tomorrow morning. It begins with the choice you make when your alarm goes off. It begins with honoring the commitment you make to yourself today. It begins with proving to yourself that you're someone who does what they say they'll do. The choice you made when you decided to listen to this message was the first step. You chose to invest your time in learning how to improve your life instead of just entertaining yourself. That choice revealed something important about who you're becoming. Now you must make the next choice, and the next choice, and the next choice, until choosing excellence becomes as automatic as breathing. Your 1,440 minutes tomorrow are waiting for your decision. Will you use them to build something remarkable, or will you let them slip away like the 1,440 minutes you've wasted before? Will you force yourself to be the best, or will you force yourself to remain the same? The person you want to become is waiting for you to show up tomorrow morning in 1,440 minutes, starting with the first choice you make when you open your eyes.